Some Japanese sounds are easy to learn, but some sounds are easy to miss. Today, we're going to learn 2 pronunciation rules that beginners often don't hear at all, but native speakers use every day. The special sound, and the quiet vowels, and I. Once you understand these, Japanese will suddenly sound much clearer. Let's start with This sound is not the English N. In Japanese, changes depending on what comes next. When comes before vowels or ya, you, yo, the nasal sound becomes clearer and more forward. For example,
店員、信用
now when comes before ka
or が
sounds, it becomes softer and more nasal. For example, 天気
Nihongo
you don't clearly release the sound. It stays inside your mouth. When comes before ma, ba, pa sounds, the sound is made with the lips. For example, 新聞、天ぷら your lips close slightly, almost like an M, but very gentle. Finally, when comes at the end of a word, it stays completely nasal. For example, 本、時間 there is no extra vowel after it. Just let the sound fade naturally. Now let's move on to something even more surprising. Sometimes Japanese vowels are there, but you barely hear them. This is called vowel devoicing. It mainly happens with and I. When these vowels are surrounded by quiet consonants, they become very weak. Sometimes they almost disappear. Let's look at a word you already know. This. You may expect to hear desu, but native speakers usually say something closer to this. The is still there, but it is not fully voiced. The same thing happens in mas. Mas. It often sounds like mas. Again, the vowel is not removed. It becomes quiet. You can hear this in many everyday words.
しました。しました。好き。好き。
The I or sound is very light. Japanese speakers don't push air through it. This is why Japanese sounds smooth and fast. Let's try a short, natural phrase. 私は学生です。好きなことは日本語です。Notice how this is soft at the end. Now compare that to a word where the vowel is clearly heard. 寿司、雪. Here, the vowels are strong. So the rule is simple. The vowel is always written. The vowel is always part of the word. But sometimes, the voice turns off. If you stop trying to pronounce every vowel strongly, your Japanese will instantly sound more natural. Don't force it. Let the sound relax. These are small details, but they make a huge difference. Keep listening carefully and keep practicing out loud. You're doing great.